Hello and welcome to Matt Mojo, and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 movies I watched for the first time during the month of April 2021. This list won't be strictly limited to movies that were released during the month. It's any movie that I've never seen before that I finally watched for the first time. I won't be including any short films, documentaries, or films I've seen before, which unfortunately includes My Favorite Shapes by Julio Torres, but that is a hilarious comedy special that you should all check out. I know we're already like halfway through the month of May, but I still wanted to make this video because the top 4 movies I watched this month were excellent, and I really wanted to talk about them somewhere. Honestly, normally I watch around 35 to 65 new films each month, which makes the top 10 real competition, but my movie game was really weak this month, so I'm not too confident in promoting all 10 of these, but I'm still making this video either way, so let's get into it. I watched this movie because Michelle Pfeiffer was nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance, and honestly, she does a really great job. But it's Michelle Pfeiffer. Her acting is always going to be fantastic. As for the movie itself, it was great in certain moments, then really slow in others. This is sort of what I mean when I didn't really want to promote all of these movies, but it's still good. The basic plot is that Michelle Pfeiffer's character loses all of her money, sort of Schitt's Creek style, so her and her son, played by Lucas Hedges, move to Paris with their cat to spend the money that they have left. This cat is sort of special, but I won't spoil it here. Like I've said, the movie becomes really slow at times, and it seriously drags, but there are certain scenes that really stand out that bring the movie back to life again. It maybe could have benefited from a shorter runtime, but I don't know. Also, the score for this movie was perfect. As I mentioned in my Oscar nominations video, I would have totally nominated this film for Best Original Score and given it the win because it was superb. Mortal Kombat reimagines the popular video game franchise into a film that centers its story around the Earth versus the Netherworld. Fighters must compete in a Mortal Kombat to defend their realm, and that's all I can say about the story. Since this is Simon McCoy's directorial debut, I think he did a great job, but I don't think I would want to see him direct a sequel to this, though I would very much like to see a sequel to this movie. Actually, I feel like it would do a lot better as an HBO Max streaming show. Some of the acting choices were very bland from certain characters, and other characters didn't really have enough screen time to really shine. I really do like the showcasing of Asian talent throughout the film, which should have been the normal in the original films. Speaking of the original films, I think this is the best live-action film adaptation of Mortal Kombat so far. The action sequences and CGI throughout the film were stellar. I just missed the amount of campiness that came from the originals. In preparing to watch the new version, I actually watched both Mortal Kombat 1995 and Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which were alright. I found the story to be a little confusing, to be honest. I'm not even sure if they actually had a Mortal Kombat competition or not, but I really love the fight scenes in this movie. I would specifically like to mention the Kung Lao vs Natara fight. Although it was short, the fatality was one of the best pieces of cinema I have ever seen. I have been waiting for this movie since its original release date all the way back in 2018 because it's a freaking X-Men horror movie. I'm sold. I'm going to give this film the benefit of the doubt and look at it in a more positive light and say that it was pretty alright as a whole. And I think people are being too brutal on it, but that's just my opinion. The New Mutants is essentially about a group of new mutants being trapped in a mental hospital / prison, and their biggest nightmares come to life, which they must fight off. I think the relationships between all 5 of the main characters are seemingly organic, and I like their chemistry with one another. Some of them may be overacting, but I didn't mind it too much. The writing could be a little wonky at times, but the visual effects make up for it. The movie was genuinely scary to me, but I'm also very easily frightened. It kinda sucks that this is the first and last time we will see these characters because I feel like they all could have really benefited from a better everything. But Disney could be nice for a change, though I highly doubt it. My one message to everyone is to please be nicer to this movie. They all suffered to get this finally released over 2 years later. Although I gave this the same rating as Mortal Kombat 2021, I think this movie is vastly better. In this animated film adaptation of the Mortal Kombat story, it kinda has the same story as the 2021 version. Instead, there's more of a focus on Scorpion. The film follows Scorpion in his journey through the Netherworld to rise from the dead and take his revenge on Sub-Zero, while Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, and Liu Kang are there to fighting as well. I really like the darker tone from the Warner Brothers animation team, but that must be because I don't really watch any adult animated content. The fight scenes were very brutal, which made them very entertaining to watch. Sonya, Janya, and Liu Kang each had very distinct personalities in my opinion, and I actually liked watching their chemistry with one another here. The animation is beautiful to look at and will probably be the closest I will get to watching an anime for a while. I don't really have any problems against anime, I just don't know where to start. But watch me get hate for saying that this movie is an anime. During this month, I rewatched Borat's subsequent movie film Delivery of Prodigious Bribe to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, and I wanted to get more into these hidden camera prank comedy films because I'm starting to really like the genre. I watched similar movies like Impractical Jokers the movie and Bruno, but the best one I've watched for the first time was Bad Trip. The story loosely follows Chris and Bud as they road trip to New York to reunite Chris with the girl he loves. In order to get there, they steal the car of Bud's sister Trina. Along the way, they perform real-life pranks on unsuspecting strangers. The comedy in this film is actually really funny, made by great performances from Eric Andre, Lil Ray Howery, and Tiffany Haddish. Actually, I first heard about this film from a clip my cousin showed me of Tiffany Haddish's character when she first escapes from prison, and I thought it was hilarious. At times, the story doesn't really add up and seems to drift too far in random directions. Also, sometimes the pranks seem a little too much very out there, but it's still a great watch nonetheless. Picking up where we last left off with the Croods, the sequel film is vastly better in my opinion. We follow the Croods as they meet the Betterments, essentially millennial cavemen that have developed new technologies to help them live easier lives. Their only challenge is to not eat the bananas. This was an interesting direction to take the Croods after 7 years, but I was pleasantly surprised. The movie was a pretty good example of a children's movie that also adults could enjoy because of its quick and witty humor that also serves as not-so-subtle commentary on modern society through a cave person lens. I really do think that Croods: A New Age was robbed of a Best Animated Feature nomination at the Academy Awards this past year, but I'm still happy that Shaun the Sheep movie Farmageddon took its place from the Golden Globes. I love the cast of this movie, with noticeable voice acting standouts being Kelly Marie Tran, Nicolas Cage, Leslie Mann, and Peter Dinklage. Compared to Trolls World Tour, the studio's previous film, this is vastly better in quality. Let's hope that DreamWorks keeps this upward trend going, though I'm not too confident considering that they have Boss Baby 2 coming up. Sam Ali, a Syrian refugee, agrees to have his back tattooed as part of an art exhibition in order to be reunited with the love of his life. He sells his entire being for the sake of art. This film from Tunisia is so poetic and so deep to me. The cinematography was obnoxious in all the right ways, and this entire film was so pretty to look at from an artistic standpoint. As for the story, it was decent throughout, though there were some points where it was a little predictable and easy to see coming. There were also some twists that I didn't really see coming at all, but that's not really a good thing. It was good to be surprised, but I was surprised for the wrong reasons. The lead character, played by Yahya Mahiani, I'm sorry if I messed up the pronunciation of his name, but his performance is so full of nuance and charisma, and he really carries the film. I also really like the story's themes against human trafficking and the boundaries between artistic creativity and human ethics. I believe this is another international feature film, but this time it comes from South Africa, I think. The movie takes place during 1981 during the mandatory conscription military service that all white South African men must serve for the South African Defense Force against communist Angola. The story follows Nicholas throughout this process of fighting in a war while also trying to come to terms with his sexuality. In the army, it is very clearly demonstrated the racist and homophobic traits that all soldiers are expected to have and enforce onto others. The score throughout the film is so amazing, but even better than the score is the frickin' cinematography. This is one of the most beautifully shot films I have ever witnessed, and I highly recommend everyone watch this just for the cinematography alone. As for the actual story, it was pretty good. It gets lost at some moments and doesn't develop certain storylines as much as I would like, but I wasn't too bothered by that. Some of the acting was also a bit stale, but again, that wasn't much of a problem either. I still think the messaging and explicit themes present throughout are really powerful to watch. I've actually watched this film 3 times ever since its wide release because I love it so much. Shiva Baby, brilliantly directed by Emma Seligman, follows Danielle, brilliantly played by Rachel Sennett, as she attends a Shiva surrounded by many of her family and family friends that are very opinionated to say the least. The Shiva is only made worse with her many encounters with her intelligent ex-girlfriend and her current sugar daddy who also has a wife and child. What a roller coaster of a film, and it was the good kind of roller coaster that I love where it just throws me around in every single direction and I don't complain. The way this story slowly unravels itself into becoming more and more anxiety filled and full of secondhand embarrassment is brilliant. Everything about this film is brilliant, like you really do not understand unless you've watched the movie for yourself. The fact that this comedic drama could also function as a horror thriller while also featuring some mystery and romance means that this movie defies all genres. I can't get over how great this film is, and I'm excited to see more work from Emma Seligman in the future. I know I made an entire video about this movie last week, but here I am again talking about it. Together centers around the friendship of Matt and Anna over a period of 9 months while she is the surrogate raising his child. What starts out as an awkward connection between the two of them develops into a strong platonic relationship. The director of this film, Nicole Beckwith, who also DM'd me on Instagram and posted my video to her story, thank you so much, she described the movie as a romance film about friendship, and I think that is the best description for it. Nicole Beckwith has so much potential, and I can't wait to see what film she has lined up next, because we all know I will be the first in line to buy tickets. Patty Harrison and Ed Helms give such nuanced and strong performances like none before. Their comedy is very quick and well timed, and their chemistry is to die for. I am so impressed with their acting in this film, especially in the moments where dialogue isn't spoken. Rather, their characters' personalities are shown and not told, which is very unique. I hope this film has actual awards chances next year, though I'm not too confident in Bleecker Street after they did not receive any nominations for Supernova this past year. I would also like to quickly mention that I watched The Falcon and the Winter Soldier this month, and what a fantastic series it was. Everyone go send some love to Aaron Kellyman, Daniel Bruhl, Sebastian Stan, and Anthony Mackie for their fantastic work, and I hope to see them all in more Marvels soon. Anyway, those are the top 10 movies I watched for the first time in April 2021. Across the screen, you should be seeing a bunch of films running around of those that didn't make it into the top 10 this month. Some were really good, and some were very bad. But you could just check out my letterbox to see my reviews and ratings of those. Shameless plug, but did it work? Probably not.